we start this policy lab. We start a day today together um, to really tackle a very important issue. Well, two important issues, and I will get back to that in a moment. Um, but before we start, actually, we want to give the floor to the European Commission. And we have with us today Taru, who is a member of the cabinet from Janusz Wojciechowski, who is going to address us all with some welcoming words for this webinar today. So Taru, thank you very much for joining us today, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Do you hear me well now?
Yes, very well.
Thank you. I also had this background picture, which was actually from my very remote village from Finland. But now, as I'm not very skilled with technological things, I'm not able to put that background here. So that's really a pity, because I always want to advocate a bit of my village in my northern territory. So yes, indeed, welcome to this event this morning. And so I was just actually a little anecdote here. I saw a study in Finland saying that quality of life is better in rural areas. And I was thinking, yeah, just of course, my very objective opinion. Indeed, I totally agree. But yes, so I was asked to say a few words about the contribution of the CAP, of the Common Agriculture Policy, and our policies, the Rural Vision and Rural Pact, how our policies support the green transition in rural communities. And of course, if we think about the CAP of the Common Agriculture Policy, so we have here the CAP land. So each member state they have drafted a CAP land where we have quite a lot of support for green transition in our rural areas. So of course, if you think about the conditionality, the good environment, good agricultural and environmental conditions that the farmers have to comply with in order to get the CAP support, and then we have, of course, the support that farmers are paid for going beyond those standards, and many of these supports, I would say that, of course, has a very much of a rural and territorial dimension, because of course most of agriculture takes place in rural areas, and then of course we have support schemes in the CAP with the territorial dimension. As areas, support for areas facing natural constraints, etc. And then, of course, rural development support, where we have agri-environment climate interventions, leader projects with a strong territorial approach, cooperation, advice, knowledge transfer. So all these support mechanisms, they are contributing to green transition in rural areas from if you think about the Europe, so from north to south, from west to east, so from the Mediterranean towards the Arctic Ocean. So we are really covering the whole territory of Europe with our support schemes. And then, of course, last but not least, we are supporting organic farming. We have the action plans, and then also strong support for this farming method. And then, of course, the promotion of our green transition principles and the implementation from the perspective of the regional local conditions are the guiding principles of the Rural Vision and Rural Pact. And rural, because Rural Vision is a working method to support also the green transition in overall in Europe with the bottom-up approach. And then I saw you have very interesting subjects for today, and covering bioeconomy, for example. And there, what I see, for example, in the Commission report on the recent, quite recent report from this March or from this year. So, for example, on the progress of the Rural Vision, so that 72% of the production of renewable energy actually takes place in the European rural areas, and with untapped potential. So there is much more still potential to go for more. And then, of course, for example, bioeconomy, very important in creating jobs and contributing to our green transition in rural areas. And as said in the vision itself, the further development of potential has potential to create 400,000 new highly skilled jobs by 2035, and up to 700,000 by 2050, and mostly in rural areas. So here we can see, for example, when it comes to bioeconomy, so the territorial development and green transition are going hand in hand here. And then if we come a bit to the future, so I'm sure you know about the strategic dialogue as launched by the Commission President von der Leyen, so and led by Professor Schröder. So there actually the different organizations, from environmental to farmers organizations, were gathered together to discuss and to put a strategic to write a strategic dialogue for our future farming, and also covering rural areas. And then this vision is to be delivered so this will contribute to the vision for agriculture and food, which is to be delivered in the first 100 days of the mandate of the new commission. And in this strategic dialogue, what we can see that rural communities are recognized for the landscapes, nature capital, and the attractiveness of them is recognized as a crucial importance for food security, for avoiding depopulation, promoting social cohesion, amongst the other objectives. And then here, maintaining the social, economic, and environmental quality of life in rural areas is mentioned, and reducing the target to reduce the urban-rural divide. And then of course environmental support, targeted, avoiding land abandonment, and targeting those most in need, and of course putting emphasis on areas facing natural constraints are covered in this strategic dialogue paper. And as said, so this strategic dialogue, so this will now contribute to the vision for agriculture and food that is then to be delivered in the first 100 days when we have the new commission in place. So during the next mandate. So what I can see that the rural issues and rural subjects together with green transition are very high on the agenda, and also of the next commission, with all this that has been now put forward. And of course rural vision is feeding into it. It is, I would see that as there always as our guiding as our guide to have really a comprehensive approach, taking rural areas into consideration in all our policies. So I would like to thank you again for this event today, and I will also try to follow as much as possible actually the event, because I'm very much interested in the subjects you have on the agenda today. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Taru, for the welcoming words. In fact, there is a lot going on. There is a lot of potential in the bioeconomy today. In particular, we want to look at it from, as you mentioned, the bottom-up perspective. This is something very much linked to the long-term vision. And also, it's very important that you highlighted the strategic dialogue and that is happening. And I think that it would have an important impact on the subject that we are discussing today. So thank you very much. I'd like to give now myself a very short introduction on the day to guide you on why are we here today and what we are planning to do. So hopefully you can see my screen now. And before we start, just some simple housekeeping rules. So we would really like to see your faces. In the Rural Pact, it's about the community, it's about you. So we would like to see who is with us. We would like to get to know you, each other. So please, while others speak, try to keep your microphone off and the video on. This is a place, it's a policy lab. We call it a laboratory. Laboratory, we need people, ingredients to talk with, to discuss, to exchange. So please be active. And a way to do so is by raising your hand, okay? To do it in a kind of coordinated way. Try to rename yourself to the extent that is possible. You have 3 dots when you see your video. And we would like to have an idea of name, surname, your country, and the name of your organization or acronyms. You will see that some colleagues, my colleagues, are changing as well your name, and in some of you, in all of you, they will be adding a number at the very beginning. Don't worry about that. That means the group where you're going to be located afterwards in the group discussions. Okay, so please do not change that. It's very important then for a fast and smooth transition to the group allocations. And of course, a reminder that we are recording this meeting, and some of the sessions will be public on our YouTube channel for further promotion of the event. So today we are here for a particular reason. The Rural Pact, it's a flagship initiative within long-term vision. We will get to know a bit more later on. And we have 3 main objectives. The first one is, the first objective is to amplify rural voices, amplify the voices of actors working in rural development, to try to bring the main issues and their ideas higher in political agenda. So we have a political purpose here. And a way to contribute to that objective is precisely this event today. So this is your occasion, and the occasion within the Rural Pact to raise your voice, to raise your ideas, so that we can feed into the important political discussions. Okay. So your voice here is very important. So you will hear us very often that this is a space for you to speak up. As it was also mentioned by Taro, there is a very important report that was published by the Commission in March with the key achievements and the way forward with the long-term vision. And here, this report outlines 11 questions to be considered for post-2027 rural policies. 2 of those questions are very important and that were considered to frame this discussion today. The first one is about the green transition. And we will be exploring what are the opportunities, but as well, what are the challenges that rural communities, and we are putting the focus on communities to benefit from those opportunities, okay? And we need to explore ways to harness that potential. We know there is potential. We also know there are a lot of some issues as well with the green transition and local communities and rural areas benefiting overall from that. It was as well highlighted, sometimes there are even some conflicts between the 2 purposes. So we need to, we are looking today from the perspective of the rural community, so the bottom-up approach. And at the same time, because we are dealing with communities and the bottom-up approach, we are going to be looking into how we can improve the relevant territorial development tools that are available at EU level in the policy framework, particularly leader CLLDs, smart villages, and the tools that are within the cohesion policy. So we are going to be exploring around the 3. So what is important here is who we are here today. And as you see, the Rural Pact is a very broad network, and that encapsulates a lot of actors working in rural development on all the topics covered by the Rural Vision. So it's agricultural actors, but mostly non-agri actors as well. And here we have civil society organizations, we have academics, we also have public authorities, we have local action groups, private businesses, EU institutions. What it means here is that we create here a multi-actor platform to collect the views of everyone, okay, on the different topics, on the different questions. We managed to put together more than 31 formal speakers and with initiatives, with opinions that will share their experience with all of us. we have representatives from most of the European member states, but also from non-European member states, so that they can also feed into with their experience into the ideas that we might be developing. And we have more than 20 different initiatives that will be shared today with you. So a bit as well what we are here, who is here as well today. We have today members of the Rural Pact, but also 38% of you, more or less, this is the figures from those that accepted to come today, you are not members of the Rural Pact. So we would like to encourage you to become a member of this network, to benefit from all the things that we do, to participate in and receive invitations for future events, etc. Join, being able to contact all the members of the Rural Pact. So you can do that by scanning this QR code, or some colleagues would put probably a link as well in the chat, so you can become a member if you're not receiving notifications, our newsletter, etc. And also half of you are not yet members of the Rural Pact Community Platform, which is our online platform where we can enable, where you can benefit from some of the tools that we have there, like joining dedicated community groups, contacting other peers, etc. So what is the agenda for today? Let's say we have two main blocks. The first one, which we will start shortly, would be about setting the scene. And here we are going to hear presentations from the Commission around the support of the long-term vision for the topic we're covering today. We are going to have a keynote presentation from the OECD as well, presenting the lessons and the learnings that they are getting from the work they do on the subject. And we also will have a panel with representatives from different directorate generals of the European Commission dealing with some of the topics in the green transition that will be covered during the group discussions, namely bioeconomy, energy communities, and water. Then we will have a break before we join the group discussions, and the first one is going to focus on how can we harness the potential of rural communities to benefit from the green transition. And you will be divided into three groups, as I said: bioeconomy, energy communities, and water. We will break for an hour for lunch, and after lunch we will be focusing on the block on territorial development tools to support the green transition. But we also will have a more open view and to look at these tools: what works, what doesn't work, how can we improve them so that rural communities can be supported better to take action. Finally, we will take another break of 15 minutes, and we'll co-create the conclusions and recommendations that come out of the webinar and close the webinar there.